Let's switch gears now and talk about the brands you love. Léger just took a look at this, looking at the household names that Canadians and Quebecers really love. Think about big corporations, right? Who's at the top of the list? Some local names like Coutu and Dollarama are there, and of course some very big multinational corporations. Christian Bourque's on the line, Executive Vice President of Léger. Hi, Christian. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
What's your eclipse plan, by the way? Got to talk about that first. What's your eclipse plan?
Oh, I'll be walking the dog at that time, so I'll enjoy it outside in a park.
Okay, just make sure that I don't make sure the dogs don't look, right? I think they told that to me. I don't know. Don't take my word for it. Just be careful with the pooch, okay?
I will.
Okay, so Christian, let's talk about brands and why you look at this. By the way, I think this is important too. Why does Léger every year say, "Let's find out what brands people love"?
Yeah, we've been doing the reputation study now for 28 years. So it's a tracker over time where companies want to look at how are they doing across time, but also how their competitors are doing. And the reason why reputation is important, it's almost like money in the bank. They call it in the U.S. the reservoir of goodwill. If people like you, they're more likely to come to your store. If you're a store, they're more likely to buy your product. And as well, if ever you do have a crisis, because all corporations at some point will have some form of crisis, then you're somehow protected from it because, again, you've built up that reservoir of goodwill. And history shows, and there's a lot of literature on this, there's a direct relationship with a company's reputation and their value on the market. So you basically have to care for your reputation out there.
And who is excelling here when it comes to reputation? And maybe we can start off with the Quebec companies, like the local companies, Canadian Quebec companies. Who excels? Yeah. Who gets your attention?
Yeah, there's 3 Quebec companies in our top 10, which are Coutu and Dollarama, as you mentioned, and as well Cirque du Soleil, who's back in the top 10. They're actually now owned by a venture cap, but their headquarters are still in Montreal.
And why do you think those 3 Quebec companies do so well in this category?
Well, Jean Coutu, because of proximity, because of how well they do as a company, and I think because of Jean Coutu himself, he still signs autographs. He's I think, late 80s now. So he's somewhat of a figure, and Quebecers like to put a face on corporations. So he's been always very successful at that. But there used to be more Quebec companies in that top 10. However, what we've seen is because of high inflation over the past 2 years, Metro now is not even in the top 25 because of high inflation. Saint-Hubert, restaurants in general are showing negative scores this year, again, because of higher prices. So the current context we're in, and I think Canadians by and large are a bit angry right now because of cost of living issues, and they're taking it out on corporations. If you look over the past year, the majority of companies that we track, over 380 companies that we track in Quebec, the majority of them have negative scores this year, and a lot of it has to do with the current context we live in.
And I guess for grocery stores, right, this is pretty key because some grocery chains did better, but I'm looking at it like Maxi Super C. The discounters had a better year, I guess, because of pricing.
Exactly. So IGA and Metro, who used to be very close to the top 10, if not in the top 10, are out of the top 25. And then we now have 2 that are coming into the top 20 that are discount grocery stores that you mentioned. And we see this now, Dollarama, a strong number 4, and also in the top 10 in the rest of Canada, was not there 3 years ago. So this is all due to the context, the current context. But if you look at it over a longer period, that's what we did over time. On average, our top 50 companies have lost close to 15 points in terms of reputation scores over the past 15 years. Wow. So it's harder and harder to get, or for companies to get Canadians to like them. And the main reason is, historically, 15 years ago is when social media became mainstream. And I think for corporations, they've lost a part of the control they have over the message in terms of who they are and what they do. Even this year, Sunwing is losing 18 points, but it's been for them 3 years of constant crisis, mainly on social media.
And that's the thing. Everyone's losing trust, right? Government is losing trust. All types of metric on trust And I guess companies aren't immune to this kind of thing, right? Where they're losing trust at a time where so many things are falling in that. Yeah.
And the reason why this may continue is that Edelman, which is a very important public relations company, have the trust barometer that they do globally, and globally they come to the same conclusion that we come to for Canada.
Before I have to let you go, Christian, let's just take a look at the big multinationals that actually do quite well in the hearts and minds of Quebecers. So who do you want to point out?
Well, Google is still number one, although -7 compared to last year, but they're still number one. But for most people, it's the most convenient free service they know. As well, Sony, Samsung are always in the top 10. Microsoft now is in the top 10. So these big multinationals are up there. One thing that's interesting is social media is also losing points, and particularly X or Twitter has lost over 35 points in 2 years since the acquisition by Elon Musk.
Falling off a cliff in trust.
Absolutely.
35 points. That's a big drop. Okay, Christian, listen, we have to leave it there. Enjoy the eclipse with your doggo. Thanks so much.
All right. Have a great day.
Christian Bourque, Executive Vice President of Léger.